Okay, so hello everyone, welcome to URBONUS podcast. My name is Donatas URBONUS, and there's my colleague Rytis. What's up, Rytis?
Hi Donatas, hello everybody. Well, first I have to start with the big news about my Twitter account.
you actually ruined my intro. I had everything set, like the EuroLeague boss Jordi Bertomeu is on the hot seat. Yeah. NBA is taking over European basketball. COVID numbers are increasing, but oh boy, what happened last week? Rytis is finally active on Twitter.
Yes, my account, it was created in 2011. Now it's finally active. Now I'm tweeting a little bit about sports, but it's just basically this is on you and on Jonas because you guys convinced me that I have to do this. I wasn't sure about it because I'd never been a Twitter person, but now you can follow me on Twitter. It's Richa41. 41 is not Dirk Nowitzki's number, by the way. It's Dejuan Collins.
Oh wow! So you
like number 41 in Žalgiris.
You're a fan of porn and chicken. Shout out to Marcus Brown.
DC was quite a character, it's fair to say.
Was cooking
when he played in Kaunas, and I was really.
I wonder what he's doing right now.
I was really a big fan of Dejuan Collins because of his antiques more than of his basketball skills, so that's why I chose number 41 when I played in every single amateur team.
Wow.
I played in amateur leagues, in any tournaments. I was number 41 if that was available. Therefore, my Twitter account is now Richa41.
Or just try to type Rytis Wisniauskas. It's probably much easier than try to make Richa happen. I was actually a bit disappointed because I was expecting more basketball-related tweets, but now I see that you're tweeting about Manchester United, then El Clasico on the football field.
Hey, that was a tweet about
I
Will
just
Clyburn.
have a Will Clyburn as a cheat code, and that's it. So I hope that the balance will be different, more on basketball side.
I'm just getting started, but I must admit, it will be more or less 50-50. It will not be a EuroLeague-based account. You'll see a lot of tweets about football. That's who I am.
That's not what I was expecting, actually. But
you were putting pressure on me, and Jonas was saying, "But dude, you can tweet about football as well." I was like, "Who cares what a Lithuanian has to say about football? Who cares about his opinions?" He says, "But if these will be like great."
It's like
opinions,
some
great
guy
thoughts.
from Sweden tweets about basketball, probably something like that.
If that guy is Jonas Jerebko, then it's relevant. But if it's a random dude, then probably not. But I said, okay, man, I'm a diehard sports fan. I feel I have something to say, so why not? Let's give it a try.
Fans were really happy about you and about this move. So we'll be following your Twitter account closely. On this podcast, we will discuss the main events of the previous EuroLeague week. Also, we have a double round week this week, and we will talk about, let's say, top things to watch this week. But also, before discussing all these EuroLeague action things, we have to move even two elephants out of this room. And first of all, we have to start with NBA coming to Europe, taking control of European basketball and stuff like that. Last week, it all started with the news, which kind of were shouting that, oh, this is it, NBA is coming to Europe. Adam Silver is almost buying the EuroLeague and doing some big project with FIBA, and it's a basketball revolution. After a few days, there are some things which we need to clarify. First of all, at least it was reported on Eurohoops, it was denied that NBA is coming to Europe right now. It was also denied that NBA is thinking and considering having something like NBA Africa project in Europe. So no NBA Europe project at all. There was a meeting between NBA, FIBA, and EuroLeague, but it was not focused on creating a new European league or conference. But it was, again, some discussions about let's unify European basketball, let's make probably one league instead of all these 4 or 5 leagues over there on international competition stage. So it's not like Adam Silver is coming out that room and saying, guys, stop talking about the EuroLeague, stop talking about the FIBA Champions League, we have new NBA product. It's not happening, Rick. So, yeah, this is what we needed to say. But let's make this situation in hypothetical scenario, do you even imagine some like common sense for all these different basketball worlds? Because these two worlds, in my eyes, I just don't see that happening.
Well, the professional basketball in Europe is established already. You have clubs, you have traditions, you have tournaments, you have players with big contracts. I don't see NBA creating a development league in Europe. You can successfully do that somewhere in Africa, where club-based professional basketball barely exists. You can always try some things with China. Okay, now the relationship between NBA and China is not so good, but in the past we know that they were treating CBA sort of one of their development leagues. It's not really possible to create something like that in Europe, like a conference or a division for NBA players' development. So for me, what was interesting when these rumors broke out, it was Marca spreading these rumors. And we all know what Marca is. It's a media outlet that spreads the word of Real Madrid. Florentino Perez, the president of Real Madrid, in the recent years was very, very active pushing this Super League idea in football, which means it's a commercial league that creates revenue. The clubs control the finances. And so these news about NBA cooperating with FIBA and creating a new league in Europe sort of legitimizes the idea of a Super League, that we can create something from scratch. Clubs will be there and there will be TV rights, revenue, and everything will be great. So this coming from Marca is kind of suspicious to me, that these rumors were spread. It was not a coincidence. Of course, meetings happen between Adam Silver and FIBA's people. Of course they happen. It's a basketball world.
Yeah, it was like 10 and 15 years ago when we were already discussing about European NBA division in Europe and something like that, trying to connect all these worlds, but it's just not happening.
It's kind of hard to imagine a league with salary cap and every other American rule working here in Europe. EuroLeague tries to create something like that, but still these clubs playing their national championships, and I believe there was a survey for GMs whether they need to play in the national leagues or not, and the majority voted that they need to play in the national leagues. For example, the Spanish clubs, the revenue they generate from the income from the ticket sales and also TV rights in the Spanish ACB, in Liga Endesa, is probably the same or even bigger in comparison to what they get from EuroLeague. So I don't see this happening in any form, any shape or form. If EuroLeague expands to, let's say, 24 clubs in the future, you can talk about a closed division where clubs only play in EuroLeague and nowhere else, because you would have like 46 regular season games. But that's just something for the future, an idea which is not happening right now. I'm not sure what were all the meetings about and what Adam Silver had to say and what he had to offer. But we are sure about one thing, that Jordi Bertomeu probably is in charge of his final season.
Yeah, sooner than later he will be out. EuroLeague teams are working this way, and some sources say that, some sources suggest that Jordi might be out of the EuroLeague even in the upcoming weeks, but probably it's more likely that it will be a long process when at the end of the season, just probably for the sustainability of the project, Jordi will be announced, resigning from the EuroLeague and something like that. And that's probably the next thing which was weird in terms of these all these NBA news, because the timing was really weird. It's not a coincidence when everybody is talking about Jordi out, everybody's talking about EuroLeague having different opinions on their future, having all these talks about Jordan stuff, and now you have news about NBA Adam Silver watching European market closely to start some new project. So I don't know, maybe it went from FIBA side, just to add some pressure. Maybe there were some other sources who just wanted to turn things around and just to change the focus of all the attention we had in Europe. But all this week was very, very weird. But yeah, what's sure that Jordi is about to leave the EuroLeague, and there are a few reasons behind this move, because it's not a casual move. Jordi was the boss of the EuroLeague since the beginnings in 2000s, and there are a few reasons why EuroLeague teams want Jordi out. Few reasons stands behind the economical reasons, I would say. There was a great report on Gazeta by Kostas Milais, where he published some financial numbers behind all these speculations, and it was reported that, for example, some EuroLeague teams right now, their earnings around 3.5 million euros, for example, and they did a research. They made some calculations where they expect to increase all these revenues to 10 or 11 million euros. It's something like 150 or 200% of increase of incomes. Also, there are some strange situation. There's strange situation with TV rights. For example, Greek TV stations are paying something around 11 million euros. Meanwhile, in France and Russia, all these TV rights were sold only for 300,000 euros. And the thing is that this money pool is divided to all teams, and probably it's not really fair for Greek teams or for Russian teams to get money from Greek TV station TV rights. Also, there were other reasons. For example, Turkish Airlines name, EuroLeague is named after Turkish Airlines for 6 million euro deal per year, according to that report. And the EuroLeague teams made calculations that the main sponsorship place, location could give you around 25-30 million euros instead of 5 millions. So these are just few of the reasons why they want some changes. And one of the reasons, which is let's say like a public secret, EuroLeague teams are publicly talking about things like some suspicious financial operations ran by Jordi Bertomeu. There are some suspicions if everything is clear, if there are no issues with transparency and stuff. So, and finally they have some proofs, let's call it, and sooner than later the changes will be official, and we already have few names of potential, let's say, new EuroLeague CAO. And I think Eurohoops reported that it's between Marko Pešić and Paulius Motiejūnas. And as far as I was doing a research about Motiejūnas, some people around him told me that he was always, he always dreamed about possibility to run the EuroLeague, let's say in a long term. Maybe that kind of possibility came, sooner than he expected. And he's one of the owners of Žalgiris team, so it would make things difficult for him, to step down as one of the Žalgiris owners. Probably he would need to to sell his shares of the club. And since we know he's a big fan of the club, he loves this club, and it's everything for him. It's hard to imagine him switching from Žalgiris to EuroLeague, but he might find some, solutions to go to, to be a leader of the EuroLeague, but at the same time to keep some ties, at least unofficial ties with Žalgiris club. So a lot of interesting things happening around the EuroLeague.
Well, in my eyes, it's kind of a normal procedure, because EuroLeague at the moment operates as a company, as a business, which has its shareholders, meaning the clubs with those A licenses. And if the shareholders are not happy with their CEO, they're free to replace him. This is what's happening. So the shareholders are replacing a CEO of a company. It's a normal and standard procedure. And yeah, Paulius Motiejūnas...
The only difference is that since it's we cannot call it Jordi's league because EuroLeague is a league of teams. Jordi he helps to run the process, but he's not the league. But since Jordi was there from the beginnings, let's say some people say that he put some bureaucracy things which helps him to keep his place, let's say, safer than every other CEO position, let's call it.
In the end, he created a system in which the clubs become shareholders of the company, and they can replace the CEO. They control the decision making. If the clubs, the shareholders,
now they're getting even more control after all these secret meetings and stuff.
In the past, of course, it was Jordi Bertomeu building this EuroLeague basketball empire. Now he can be replaced quite easily. And Paulius Motiejūnas, as you mentioned, he was chosen as the best GM in Europe, I believe, last year.
He was two times
in a row.
Yeah.
Well, you can't say that Sharas helped a lot in winning this award, but he did a lot of good things not related to basketball as a game they play on the court, but growing Žalgiris organization in a way of
from business standpoint,
commercial potential, attracting sponsorship, doing all these good things with fans, so you can do a sold out every single week before the pandemic. And it makes sense probably that he is being considered. But as you said, there might be some difficulties for him to move and leave Žalgiris. Marko Pešić, in this case, he is a sporting director in Bayern. He's not an owner of a club. He's a sporting director. Of course, he means a lot to Bayern Munich, but it is easier for them to release and replace Marko Pešić and for him to make this transition from Bayern to being the head of the EuroLeague. But let's just wait and see what happens.
Yeah, and let's just talk about the last EuroLeague week events. But before, we have to introduce you our sponsor. It's NordVPN. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, a service that protects your internet connection and privacy online. It creates an encrypted tunnel for your data, protects your online identity by hiding your IP address, and allows you to use public Wi-Fi hotspots safely. But in other words, NordVPN, I use the NordVPN for quite some time, and it helps me to watch some games, for example, which are not provided for some regions. For example, I can watch FIBA Champions League games on YouTube, while our regular Lithuanian internet network user, he cannot watch all these games. So you can choose different locations which you want to, get connected through the virtual private network tunnel, let's call it. And I can watch some, for example, you can watch Netflix through NordVPN, and you can see The Office in Europe. Although it's so far it was only presented for American viewers. Also, you can read some U.S. articles which are again protected only for their own region. So it's a great tunnel to reach more content for free. And
make a long story short, you can access ESPN Plus.
Oh yeah,
for example,
one of the great advantage NordVPN can offer. And actually, since they are our sponsors, we have a great deal for you. You can go nordvpn.com/urbonus, and you will get a 2-year plan plus 4 months for free. And the best thing is that they have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't like their services, you just can get your money back. You can cancel the service, and that's it. But in general, for all the basketball fans, it's a really good thing. And not only for basketball fans.
For sure, I agree. And we've been to China in the World Cup, so...
Oh yeah, that would be a time saver, life saver in China.
Yeah,
both for using WhatsApp apps, Google, and a lot of stuff.
You have to work with social media when you're there, and there's no other way to access Facebook, Instagram, and all the other social media services. So,
yeah, that's a life changer for all these American players playing in China.
As long as you're not Ty Lawson and you're
not banned from China.
You carefully choose the content you upload. you can survive.
Enes Kanter is also not coming to China soon.
Well, that's a different story. But as for Ty Lawson, well, you have to think before you post something on social media.
And the best thing about NordVPN is that they are completely legal. I mean, no illegal stuff or anything like that. And again, I use their services, and so far I'm really happy about that. We can go talk about EuroLeague things.
Finally, the games.
I'm
not a fan of these discussions about new leagues and bureaucracy and what happens in the offices. I always enjoy talking about what happens on the court. So now it's the fun part.
Finally, Efes are winning games. Champions got their first win against Unix Kazan.
I'm not sure about plural games. I would say game.
Yeah.
Because another Istanbul derby in the Turkish league.
Yeah, they lost against Galatasaray too.
Yeah.
Man.
But at least the first victory in the EuroLeague. It was a tough one, to be honest. It was more of a defensive victory. We knew that Vasamic is not going to play. So the first idea was that probably Shane Larkin is going to dominate the game. Many people bought Shane Larkin to their fantasy teams for the purpose of...
I was the one who bought Vasilij Micic, actually. And I didn't have time, to change him before the round.
So you were left with an injured MVP.
Yeah. At least he was not my captain.
I was the one who joined the Shane Larkin bandwagon, and he did not deliver, to be honest. It was not Shane Larkin's great performance, but they had Elijah Bryant, and it's a great debut for him in his new team. He was a major reason why they actually won this game, but as I said, it was a tough win. It was a defensive type of game, and they only won it by 3 points, 71-68.
Yeah, and they made some crucial shots in the fourth quarter in late clock situations. And Unix were missing some luck, some smarter decisions. And Efes were really close to losing the fifth game in a row. But yeah, Elijah Bryant was one of the reasons they managed to survive 32 minutes, second most after Rodrigue Beaubois, who played 38, 14 points, 5 of 11 field goals, 4 rebounds, 0 assists, 3 turnovers. But what I like the most about Elijah Bryant, that he was super aggressive. He was super active from the first minute on the court. And it didn't feel like he was a newcomer, neither in this league, neither in this team. And I was like, feeling quite okay, him running the Efes offense and stuff. He was playing like Shane Larkin or something like that, and it was a huge difference comparing him to other NBA players coming to Europe, starting from AJ Mayo, Kenneth Faried, Yogi Ferrell, and Troy Daniels, and all.
We're still waiting for Shabazz Napier, who could be the good one. But Elijah Bryant, he is covering now for Kruno Simon as well as for Vasamic, who is out. So their big three is Bryant, Beaubois, and Larkin. The problem with Efes is turnovers, in my opinion, careless turnovers. And in this game, it starts from Shane Larkin. He had 6 turnovers. We know that Vasamic in the previous games they lost also was turning the ball over quite a lot. As I said last week, I'm not worried about Efes. It's going to be okay, but you have to take care of the ball. They're 6th in turnovers at the moment in the league. 14 per game. Too much. You just have to take care of the ball. You have experienced players, experienced ball handlers. You have to get better at this. But yeah, Unix Kazan was in the game. They were staying in the game. In my opinion, Lorenzo Brown was dictating the tempo. He was a true floor general in this game, and it was much better in comparison to the previous game they played in Turkey when they were trashed by Fenerbahce. So this time they were competitive. But the first win is always very important, like psychologically, mentally. You get the pressure off your shoulders. Now you can move on. Now it's a double week. You can go on a winning streak, as I predicted. Tibor Pleiss was a difference maker also. This time, Ergin Ataman chose to play with him as the main center. In the starting lineup, it worked. He played 20 minutes, scored 12 points. He was aggressive, attacking in the paint. And right now, as we can see, when the team is struggling, Ataman is really careful with the young center, Petrushev. You know, he's talented, But when the team is in a difficult position, it is more comfortable to trust your veterans. So Tibor Pleiss is playing, and Brian Dunstan is playing, and Petrushev in the recent games only played a couple of minutes.
Ataman was so active in that game. I remember they were playing defense against, I think it was Cannon, and he was trying to make his step back moves or something like that, and probably Elijah Bryant was defending him, and Ataman was like moving, his footwork was the same like Elijah Bryant. He was kind of showing how to stop Isaiah Cannon one-on-one, so it was nice to watch him winning the game finally. And talking about Unix, this team is weird. I mean, there are some times when I love them. For example, I love the potential of their big lineup. They started the game with Lorenzo Brown, who is 196, Hezonja, who is officially 2 meters 3 centimeters, but he told me that he's like 208. So and
208.
Yeah, and I believe that because when you put him and Vorontsevich, I think that Hezonja is even
Same
higher.
size.
And Vorontsevich is 2 meters and 7 centimeter. Then they have Brantel, 201, and Jakiri, 212. So it's a big lineup, and it's crazy how they can switch, how they can run the transition. And there were some good moments, especially from Hezonja. I mean, most of the game, Efes played with matchups of Elijah Brandt. Sometimes Bobois was defending Hezonja, and I was actually missing Velimir Perasovic to use the matchup even more often, especially in the fourth quarter, because Hezonja had Elijah Bryant as his opponent, and okay, Hezonja is not the best low post player, but when you have Elijah Bryant or Rodrigue Bobois, you can use him on the post, because from there he can create a shot for himself, or he can pass the ball, which he was doing really well during the game. But during that final break, he was just making some fadeaway shots, some 3-pointers and stuff. Although he can be really efficient. But again, Unix were missing some cold nerves, some smarter decisions, and sharing the ball in the crucial place.
But as I said, Lorenzo Brown was good in this game. Finally we saw a good version of Isaiah Cannon. This is the way he played in EuroCup. He's a scorer. He's a shooter, and he's a streaky shooter, I would say. But the problem is that OG Mayo seems like a misfit. I know it's still early to judge. Maybe he needs more time, but I just don't see any place in this team for a player of that type. When you already have Brown, Cannon, and Hezonja, I don't see any reason for them to wait for OG Mayo to start playing better basketball. They could sort some other positions with that money, and
it seems like he's completely out of shape.
I'm predicting that he's gonna last until Christmas, until New Year, and probably he's gonna finish the season somewhere else.
And yeah, not just that he needs time to adjust to European basketball, but at the same time he needs to get match fit. I mean,
he's out of shape.
The first time he entered the court, it was probably the end of the first quarter, and after almost 4 minutes, he was on the bench again, and he was all in sweat, and he couldn't catch Elijah Brandt, for example, at all in transition. He forced shots. He made the Euro step against 2 defenders, some off-balance jumpers and stuff like that. I mean, he was missing everything. And actually, when I saw him, and when I have Elijah Brandt, and when I watched Yogi Ferrell, Kenneth Faried, we can remember Emmanuel Mudiay, and with all these NBA players coming to Europe, it's so hard to adjust over there. It's a completely different world, and it's much harder than they expected. And it really takes a lot of time to finally get some, let's say, efficient things from these NBA players on the EuroLeague courts.
I would say it takes about a year for an NBA player to understand this different type of basketball. If you're a smart player, if you're really smart, it could take a couple of months. My example would be Derek Williams. When he first joined Bayern, his first 3 games in EuroLeague. Turnover, traveling violation, bad decision on offense, not rotating on defense. But in 2 months, he was a different player. He adjusted quickly. So this is a good example. For others, it could take a year but not everybody lasts a year. For example, Emmanuel Mudiay, OG Mayo, we're not sure if they're going to last a full season in their current teams. Kenneth Faried, it's kind of a different story when you talk about a center pick and roll type of player who needs to grab some rebounds. It should be a little bit easier. He just has to understand the coach, the defensive system, when they're playing switch all defense, or when he has to drop to the paint, to understand the way the fouls are being called in Europe. It's kind of different. So for Kenneth Faried, it should be a little bit easier. For these ball handlers, creators that should be the leaders of the team, it takes more time. And it's always a risky move to sign these type of players, especially when they actually have been out of the NBA. We treat them as NBA players, but Kenneth Faried, OG Mayo, Emmanuel Mudiay, last season they were not playing in the NBA. They were barely playing anywhere. So it takes time not only to understand different basketball, but also to get back in shape. Shabazz Napier should be the good one, as I said, a good signing, but we're still waiting for him to come back, and Zenit needs him. They're crying for Shabazz Napier to come back as soon as possible.
Yeah, and the worst part is that Xavi Pasqual mentioned that they're not expecting to get Shabazz Napier back for more than 1 month. So it took longer when they were expecting it.
In my opinion, they must sign somebody. And Connor Frankup, I'm sorry.
He had enough time, to prove himself, but he's not really
he's not a
level.
Point guard. For Xavi Pasqual to be a point guard,
and then
to be a point guard for Xavi Pasqual, in his team, you need to be very good. He's not controlling the team. He can shoot the ball, but that's the only thing he can offer. At this point, Xavi trusts Dimitri Kulagin more. Kulagin becomes their main point guard.
And he didn't even play the last season.
So they're not in a good position, and I'm not sure about their resources. They should have some money, and they need to sign somebody. And I would say ideally, they could add 2 players, one to replace Frankamp and one in addition to what they have already while they're waiting for Shabazz Napier. Because I'm talking about Zenit and Barca, this game probably doesn't need a lot of attention.
Yeah,
but
I didn't watch that game, but...
Yeah, I was working on that game, so it was a lot of hype about this one because of what happened in the playoffs last season, because it's Xavi against Sharas. Before the game, there was this
2010 team
reunion,
celebration.
Yeah. 2010 reunion. All these champions of Barcelona team were there in Palau. Xavi Pasqual as the coach. These guys like Victor Sada, Roger Grimau, Jordi Trias, Pete Michael, Erasm Lorbeck, they were there. It was a big celebration party before the game. Sergio Busquets was there with his children watching the game, Barcelona's football legend. The stage was set for an epic game of basketball, but it only lasted for 1 quarter. Then Barcelona took over the game, and Zenit collapsed exactly when Xavi needed to make substitutions. With the starting lineup, it was okay, but then Kulagin was replaced, Frankamp was in, other guys were replaced, Jordan Lloyd was defended very well, he was struggling, and that was it. They were done. And the interesting thing for me from this game, it was a blowout. There's no need to talk about any tactics or matchups. For Barca, it was important to spread the minutes among the players because they had on Sunday a difficult game in Malaga. Now it's a double game week, so it was great for them to save some energy. Mirotic played only 15 minutes, but garbage time came earlier than expected in the 3rd quarter already. And Xavi Pasqual was getting some new faces on the court. Mindaugas Kuzminskas played a minute in the 2nd quarter, made 2 bad decisions, was sent back to the bench, and never came back.
So he gave a 1 sincere minute.
I'm not sure if it was really that sincere, but obviously Xavi was really disappointed with the Lithuanian forward. If he didn't even play with a 2nd unit.
And that was kind of a punishment for him.
Probably. For him and for Karasov. Sergei Karasov also stepped up, played a minute.
From the same position.
Played a minute, disappointed the coach. And then on the court, we saw this young Russian guy. I don't really remember his name. I got to check it on the box score.
I have his face on my...
Yeah. We'll just check on the box score. It was Igor Volkhin.
Okay.
Never saw him before.
Never heard
He played 12 minutes. So yeah, a lot of problems for Zenit right now. The best thing for them is the result. They have 3 wins and only 2 losses. With the way they're playing, with the quality on offense, it could be a lot worse. And now it's a double week, so in this week, if they can get 1 from 2, it would be good, I would say.
Yeah, and I think that they're playing against 2 Spanish teams, Real Madrid and Baskonia.
But they're playing at home, so I can imagine them winning 1 from 2.
I hope so, because this is a crucial week for them. If they lose both games, they're dropping.
And you remember in our podcast before the season, in our predictions, I was saying that Zenit is not going to make the playoffs, and some of my arguments were that last season they were too dependent on Kevin Pangos. Take Kevin Pangos away from them, and it's a different team. And now it's happening, and they're lacking their main point guard. They're waiting for Shabazz Napier, and in the meantime, they can be losing games.
And in the meantime, they won't sign anybody who will be a complete game changer. We see all these newcomers coming to Europe, and they're not playing any meaningful role so far.
Right now, what they're showing, for me, it's not playoff level. Maybe on defense.
Not.
Maybe on defense, yes. Because of Xavi and because of the players they have, they can be good on defense. But there's no consistency on offense at all.
And coming back to all these newcomers, Kenneth Faried, he played only 2 minutes, but these minutes were just awful. I think that he entered the court in the end of the third quarter, and he played flat defense against Dorsey. He scored beyond the arc, and then in the next possession, he made an offensive foul after getting a rebound. So
it's not an offensive foul in this case because they were in the bonus. Yeah, and he made a foul fighting for a rebound and sent, I believe, Thomas Walkup to the line.
Probably. So in these 2 minutes, from plus 14, CSKA had plus 9, something like that, and Olympiacos got back into the game.
Yeah, for Kenneth Faried.
He is just too strong for the EuroLeague.
But you could imagine something like this when you saw the rotations. Dimitris Saturis was trusting Joel Bolomboy, Voigtman, and he wasn't playing Kenneth Faried at all in the first half. If Kenneth Faried would have left a good impression after first training sessions and the first VTB game, Itoudis would let him play earlier, surely, because there's no Shingeli, I know Milutinov now. He thought we're up by double digits. Maybe it's a good time to let our newcomer feel what the EuroLeague is all about. But it wasn't good. And immediately I thought the third quarter finished. No way Itoudis is starting the fourth quarter with Kenneth Faried. That's it for him today. He needs to learn and move forward. But another American player that will have a transition period to learn the EuroLeague basketball. Hopefully he can become a good, solid rotation player for 12 or 15 minutes. But we will see. As far as I know, Milutinov is not so far away from a comeback. Could be 2 or 3 weeks. For Shingeli, it's a little bit longer. But as long as Milutinov comes back, they have their main center. Bolomboy looks in good shape right now. But as you mentioned my tweet, as long as Will Clyburn is healthy, man, no problems for them winning games. I mean, Will Clyburn in this game.
That was like a...
Wow.
Not just Will Clyburn, Dorsey, the same. It was like watching Superman battling against Batman, something like that. Because Clyburn had 29 points, Dorsey had 32, career high, 11 from 14 field goals. Clyburn was not so efficient. 9 from 16, but still he was killing them when Olympiacos had the last hope, to come back.
Dorsey got hot and it was a good shooting night for him, but Clyburn was doing everything. In Lithuanian, we call these players a human orchestra.
Yeah.
I mean, he played in the post.
He was like LeBron James.
He was facing his opponents. He was driving to the basket. He made some buckets, some three-pointers, some end-one plays. And the worst part for Olympiacos was that they were in control from the beginning. They won the first quarter 25-20. And then Bartzokas started his rotations. Dorsey's hot, but he's going to sit the whole second quarter playing like lineups. The first lineup played the first quarter. Now the second lineup will play the second quarter. And it was a disaster. And he put Printezis on Clyburn. you saw from the first two actions that it's not going to work today. But it lasted for 8 minutes, and Clyburn was just devastating Printezis in this matchup. Only in the second half, when they were already down by a lot, Bartzokas reacted and put Livio Jean-Charles in, how should I call him? Charles. Pardon my French.
Doesn't matter.
So he put him in, and he had a good game. But it was only in the middle of the third quarter. So, in my opinion, in this game, CSKA was vulnerable with their injury problems. But Bartzokas, his decision making was really strange. And I think Olympiacos could have done a lot better in this game.
But besides, I mean, we have to show huge respect for CSKA Moscow. I mean,
for Coach Ituris, first of all.
They don't have Shengelia, they don't have Milutinov, potentially all EuroLeague first team members.
Grigonis is out.
Grigonis is out. They still about to sign another guard, and they kind of lacking 4 great important players, and they are facing one of the hottest teams in the EuroLeague, and they were dominating all game long actually. So huge respect
except
for CSKA.
First quarter. I would say.
It's hard to dominate all 4 quarters, but still they were great. So I'm so surprised.
Always finds a way, and this is the great thing about him. Last season, he proved to many people when he was facing difficulties, challenges, Milutinov injured, Mike James out. He found a way to change the game. They started playing a lot from the post, and now again they're dealing with injuries, but they adjust. They adjust the game plan. It becomes Clyburn's team. He starts dominating. Also, I would like to give a shout out to Ife Lundberg, who is playing a really solid season so far. Alexey Shved, maybe he's still not very consistent. This game, I wouldn't say it was the good version of Alexey Shved.
It was crazy to watch Alexey Shved having an open look from 3. And it seemed like somebody just pressed turn off button. Like, his controller, you're the PlayStation, you're the gamer, when the battery is dying. I mean, it was crazy. He just stopped, he just turned around and just,
And he looked at the clock and decided we need to play till the last seconds.
I want Alexey Shved back.
It would never happen in Khimki. Never, ever, ever.
I think he's tortured or something. I mean, something is wrong. He's acting like a kidnapped person.
But I'd say he's okay.
No, he's okay. As long as he's on the winning team and he's contributing, I mean, everything's okay.
Looking at him, you couldn't say that he's unhappy or that he wants something more.
He always looks unhappy, no? Even in Khimki when he was scoring.
I wouldn't say he looks unhappy. He looks disinterested. His body language, his face, facial
just
expressions.
The way
he looks
Shved is,
but that's just how he is. He's chill.
He's so relaxed.
He's chill, yeah. I like Alexey Shved, to be honest, despite of everything that happened in last couple of years in Khimki.
You like all these players, all these great scorers. Mike James, for instance. Mike didn't have the best game against Baskonia, 1 from 9 from 3. Monaco made only 3 3-pointers out of 26. And they lost Baskonia pretty badly, and the third quarter was the crucial one. Actually, it all started with Mike James. He took 2 good shots. It was 2 Mike James regular shots, but at first, shout out to our Lithuanian guys, Tadas Sedekerskis and Rokas Giedraitis. At first, Tadas Sedekerskis contested his step back 3 really well. And then Rokas Giedraitis chased him down really well. He was under his skin, and he made his mid-range shots very complicated. And then on the offensive end, Sedekerskis had a great putback layup. Giedraitis made a 3-pointer, and Baskonia went for a 20-2 running streak. And it was a great game for Jason Granger, Simone Fontecchio, your guy. But it seemed like why I feel bad for Monaco, that they finally met the team from their own league. If they want to be competitive for the top 8, they have to beat teams like Baskonia. But in crucial moment, they just lost their heads. For example, not only Mike James, not making all these 3-pointers, but for example, Leo Westerman. We appreciate him as a very experienced, matured smart floor general, but I hate when players act like this, when they expect foul, when they want a foul, but they lose the ball, and instead of running back to defense, they start chatting with the referee, and it's 2 points, easy 2 points for your opponent. So there were too many episodes like that from Monaco side, and they just lost their heads in the very important evening for them, looking long term for the top 8 competition.
I would call this game a terrible shooting night because of the 3-point percentages. Monaco 3 from 26, Baskonia 4 from 20, but they were playing very good in the paint and pick and roll situations. And this is another thing worth mentioning. Donatas Motiejūnas, 10 points. You could look at a stat sheet and say he had a decent game, but the way he's being exposed on pick and roll defense, we're sort of predicting those things, and they're happening. Every EuroLeague team is going to attack him aggressively, and this is what Baskonia did. This is obviously, it was Duško Ivanović's plan. And you mentioned other Lithuanian players, so Tadas Sedekerskis once again deserves huge respect. 11 rebounds in this game. He's a hard worker. He does everything for his team. He does all these tasks that the coach asks him to. And watching him this season in EuroLeague, it becomes even harder to understand how he didn't make the Lithuanian national team roster in the summer. I just don't get it.
But Gytis Masiulis made the roster.
I mean, for me, it's difficult to understand. It's okay, it's a different team, different coach, different ideas. But when you have this type of player in EuroLeague who's doing everything exactly what Duško Ivanović wants from him, how can he not play for Lithuanian national team? Hopefully now we have Kazys Maksvytis as a head coach, and Tadas will get his chances, and I think he will, because he's proving that he can be sort of a glue guy on the team when it comes to defense, rebounding, and all these other things.
Yeah, at least 11th or the 12th guy on the roster.
At the very least, yeah.
So I also watched and enjoyed a lot. I think that ASVEL game against Milan was the best game of the week, actually, because it had so many great things. Give me a second. Yeah, so we had basketnews.com. We have our own top 5 after every night. And 4 of 5 top moments were from that game. It had Sergio behind the back pass. It was a great behind the back pass. Also, Antoine Dio just lost his mind. Probably he has some problems with his eyes. I mean, he needs contact lenses or glasses or something, because I don't know if you see that, if you saw that moment, but in the end of the third quarter, with 7 seconds to play in the end of the third quarter, he got the rebound and he threw it, all over the court, because he thought that, the quarter is finishing. But the thing was that they had 7 seconds. So Milano grabbed the rebound. They went for a quick possession, and Nicola Melli made a buzzer beater. So
this is the J.R. Smith syndrome, where you forget the shot clock and the game clock, or you just switch off.
Yeah, and again, I mean, Milano bounced back from a 16-point deficit. Devon Hall had a game winner. Ellie Okobo had another amazing game. So
these were only points of the game for Devon Hall. Game winner. Before that, he missed everything. And yeah, Ellie Okobo, my man. He's my man this season.
He and all ASVEL team, I mean, this is a team to watch. This is a player to watch too, and it's a team to follow if you like.
I didn't think they're going to be this exciting.
No way.
No way. But Ellie Okobo playing as an elite guard in the EuroLeague, even though it's his first season in EuroLeague.
Yeah, that's one of these great examples.
But of course, he's a European player.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. Before going to the NBA, he already played in France, so he understands the rules of European basketball, the court, the way it works, and he's playing smart. And as I said last week, and I can only repeat it now, his shooting numbers: 58% from downtown, 63.5% from 2-point range. Wow.
And he's taking really hard
he's
shots.
scoring 18 points per game, and he's taking a lot of shots.
A lot of difficult shots, great step backs. I love the moment where he ran through four Milano defenders. He has kind of, Muhammad Ali footwork, and they try to contain with much more aggressive defensive approach in the second half, but they just couldn't stop him.
Still very young.
He's 24, 25, something like that. There's so much potential for him in Europe.
His birthday was 2 days ago. Imagine like the French national team. Let's say Nando De Colo probably still has a couple of years in him if he wants to play.
As a backup, yeah.
Evan Fournier and Ellie Okobo as your shooting guards.
My God. My God. And what I like about ASVEL, also, they have Chris Jones, who has an impressive season so far. I mean, he went from 7 points per game in Maccabi and to 16 points per game in ASVEL. They also give opportunities for young players, not only Wembanyama, he's on their roster, but all other guys, and Takumbo, other players. They have nice veterans like David Lighty, Dio, James Gist. They have Tony Parker behind the team. His brother TJ is doing a great job. So it's a team to follow. I didn't expect that I will say so many good things about them before the season.
They were exceeding expectations last week, and now they were so close to beating Milano that we called the hottest team in Europe last week.
We called it the best team in Europe,
they
actually.
Should have lost this game, to be fair.
Messina also agreed. I mean, he thought that this game is over.
They should have lost this game, so hats off for ASVEL. And moving on to other games, the one I watched and was really interesting, Real Madrid-Fenerbahce. Djordjevic's team was in control, and I would say throughout 40 minutes they were the better team, but they somehow found a way to lose it. Of course, in the end, there was a coach's challenge, very successful Pablo Lasso's coach's challenge for the unsportsmanlike foul on Alassane. The referees watched the replays and they gave the unsportsmanlike foul.
I think that was the first time. I mean, they won the challenge. I mean, the coach won the challenge.
Maybe so. Didn't see all of the games, but from those that I saw,
somebody was sharing stats with me, one of our listeners, and I think that exactly that last call was...
So it worked. Later on, Djordjevic lost his temper, got a technical foul. So Real Madrid got some points from the free throw line. In this game, Real Madrid was without Walter Tavares, which was an interesting story because on this day, before the game, his wife was about to give birth to a baby, and Eddie Tavares went with her to hospital. And as Pablo Lasso said after the game, I texted him and asked him, "Can you make it to the game?" He said, "I will see." And I said, "No pressure. This is a very important moment in your life. If you cannot make it to the game, it's fine by me. It's fine for all of us." So Tavares said, "I'm not going to be there, boss." And later Vincent Poirier said that I texted him, "I got this. I'm going to play for both of us." And Poirier had a career high night in rebounds, grabbing 17 boards. Even though it was not a perfect game for him on offense, he only scored 5 points. But yeah, so it was a probably biggest night in his life for Eddie Tavares.
Do you think it's normal that the player misses the important EuroLeague game?
Do you have kids?
Because of that?
Do you have kids?
Wow, great question. Great question.
You're about to have one, right?
So yeah, I think it's important.
Oh my God. But yeah, it was because I jumped to this game straight from my previous broadcast, and I actually missed part of the first quarter, so I didn't know where Walter Tavares is. I thought maybe he got hurt. He's not playing, but there were no reports before the game
COVID
about an injury.
Yeah.
He's not there. He's not in the gym. I didn't know. Only after the game I found out in Pablo Lasso's TV interview that it's actually a special moment. And Vincent Poirier also made clutch game-winning free throws, so he joked about that in the future when we have these sort of games, the coach will draw up a play for me to get the ball when we are about to be fouled, because I'm a clutch free throw shooter, although he's not. But Fener, they should feel really bad about this one. They should have won this game in Madrid. They were the better team. Real Madrid was in the game because of their offensive rebounds and 3-pointers. They took 36 3-point shots, made 13. Some of those were very difficult shots, buzzer beaters, beating the game clock, for the shot clock. For example, Fabian Coser closed the second quarter and the third quarter with 3-pointers. Fenerbahce, I mean, they had the Kolo sharing the ball. They had Vesely playing a good game on defense. He stopped Kershon Yabusele completely. Yabusele was basically out of the game in this case. His numbers were lowest so far this season. But Fenerbahce lost. It was very frustrating. You could see from Djordjevic's press conference that he was really annoyed about this loss. They already lost in Athens with 2 unsportsmanlike fouls in the end of the game. And they lost the lead. Now something similar happens here in Madrid. Those were 2 games they could take, and they would be
4-1, something like that.
Yeah, they would be very high in the standings. They would be in the top 5, top 6.
And just for the listeners, don't take my question about is it normal to have to miss the EuroLeague game because of all these reasons seriously. And actually, it's a joke of legendary Šarūnas Jasikevičius press conference.
Yes.
And I typed Jasikevičius, and first suggestion is Jasikevičius birth subtitles, Jasikevičius family subtitles, Jasikevičius China. Why it's like that? Oh, he had 23 points in Olympic quarterfinal in 2008. Wow, interesting suggestion.
Yeah. I remember, of course, this press conference. It went global.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so pretty much it, right? And to wrap the previous week things up, we have a from zero to hero, something like that.
This is something I came up with. Every week we should do this. We choose our hero and we choose our zero.
Yeah.
So you can start. Let's start with the positives.
Listen,
your hero of the week.
I have a cheat code. I have Devon Hall as my from zero to hero guy because he was a complete zero in that game.
Minus to be honest.
Yeah, he had 0 points. He was 0 from 5 in 20 minutes, and his player index ranking was -6 until these last seconds of the game. It was like he made a crucial 3-pointer to save the game for Milan with 23 seconds left. Of course, it went after Kyle Hines. I think that he got the defensive rebound. It was either Melly or Kyle Hines, but yeah, Devon Hall showed why he's so good, because he always had that body language. He's always so calm, and all game long he was playing okay game, but he was missing just some luck. It was like, he had some good open looks. It seemed like the ball was in, but he was actually out. He had some deflections on his passes. But finally, when it all mattered, he made a 3-pointer and won the game for Milan. So this is my from zero to hero guy, actually.
So he covers both.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I have 2 separate people. First of all, my hero of the week is Vladimir Lucic.
Oh, yeah.
Out of nowhere, Vladimir Lucic makes a comeback. Nobody expects him to play in Kaunas.
Even Žalgiris, the night before the game, Juras was telling that, according to their intel, he's not playing.
There he is, starting as a power forward in the 4th position, taking Paulius Jankūnas out of the game immediately and causing trouble to Žalgiris all night long, playing 33 minutes, keeping Bayern in the game when they were horrible in the first half. They were down by 12 after 2 quarters, but by the way they were playing and they were losing rebounds, they should have been down by like 20, I believe. And Vladimir Lucic also doing the Serbian things, getting his free throws because of...
Although it was a clear foul. I mean, we talked with some experienced Lithuanian referees, and they explained everything. It was a clear foul.
Don't you think that he really put his leg there
maybe
in the front?
Maybe a bit.
Both
legs.
I wouldn't call this flopping or cheating, but it's something...
Smart landing.
It's something that's really smart, and it's something that, for example, is being done in the NBA for years by James Harden, and it influences rule changes. Mm-hmm. So now James Harden is not getting any calls at all playing in the NBA, and he's frustrated, but he is the one who made all these rule changes because he was driving the referees crazy. And this foul call, I'm not really sure. Okay, if the experts are saying so,
I'm not a fan of that call.
Fine by
but
me.
that was according to rules.
But it's just one play, and Vladimir Lucic was making big plays all game long. And as he admitted, he bounced back from COVID.
Yeah.
He still
It was
feels...
his first game after more than 1 month. And even Trinchieri was getting ready to use him for maximum 10 or 15 minutes. He played 32 minutes. Crazy. He couldn't catch a breath after the game.
Yeah, he said he's still feeling some consequences in his lungs, his breathing, and he's still not in his best shape. But we know that Lucic is a tough guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's now 32, very experienced. He's been the leader for Bayern last year when they were making this playoff run. And him coming back on the court is crucial. And it's the first win for Bayern. If not for Lucic's heroic comeback, I'm not sure if they would have taken this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was a really bad first half. They responded in the second, but Žalgiris was fighting, and it was decided in the very last second. So my hero of the week, definitely, Vladimir Lucic, for the epic comeback he made.
So your 0?
My zero of the week, I hate to say it, because I like his team so far, but it's Jorgis Bartzokas.
Okay.
I already mentioned why.
Yeah.
And it kind of disbalanced the team. It killed the flow, these rotations and substitutions when Dorsey plays the first quarter and he's hot and he sits the whole second quarter. Slukas plays the whole second quarter, but it's not working for him. You see that he's struggling. The pick and rolls and everything is not working. Printezis is put on Clyburn and he is suffering, but that's going on for like 8 minutes until the coach reacts. Better in-game management was needed. If you want to be Dimitris Itoudis, you need in-game management. You cannot play with set rotations that you're going to play the first quarter, you're going to play the second quarter. It doesn't matter the circumstances, I'm going to stick to that. It was too late to react in the middle of the third quarter trying to save the game. So I think Bartzokas is a great coach. I think Olympiacos is a great team, but in this particular game I was disappointed. And I have to make him the zero of the week for these decisions.
Yeah, your take about Bartzokas reminds me too, I wouldn't say crucial timeouts, but let's say interesting timeouts in Kaunas. First of all, it was Žalgiris timeout before that late Mantas Kalnietis three-pointer in the end of the game. It was so weird because for Juras Dovts, it took like more than 40 seconds to think about the next set for the last possession. He picked the 5 players on the court. He benched Ulanovas and he put Kalnietis on the floor, although he didn't play all 4 quarter. But the thing is that he was not making or showing any set play for his team until refs came, to invite the team to enter the court again. So it was very, very, very
Drawing
last.
up something very quickly.
Yes. And as we saw on the court, it was a terrible possession for Žalgiris to save the game. Kalnietis 3-pointer.
But that's another thing. I don't have anything to say more about Bartzokas. It's probably a lesson to be learned. But about Zdovts, why Kalnietis didn't actually play in the 4th quarter?
And why Lekavičius played all 4 quarter? Because he definitely needed some rest.
And he looked fatigued. He looked tired.
And Kalnietis was not that bad at that game at all.
Kalnietis was okay. And I really thought he's saving his energy for the last 4 or 5 minutes to be there on the court, but he wasn't. And when you play with only one creator and it's Lukas Lekavičius, it's going to be hard to finish the game like this. And then you put Kalnietis for the last possession. He's cold. He was sitting on the bench for more than 10 minutes. What do you expect? Strange. Another thing, we mentioned this Lucic foul call. Do you think Otello Hunter kicked the ball from Lekavičius' hands?
I think he kicked the hand, actually, not the ball out of his hands.
What is
it was a clear foul. Maybe it was, a tough situation for referee to see.
Again, it was a crucial moment in the game.
Yes, with 1 minute and 15 seconds left.
Lekavičius was making a pump fake. Hunter jumped, and while landing, he kicked the ball or the hand. But he kicked it. So
if not that kick,
violation.
it was open layup.
So it's a violation.
Yeah.
It has to be called, but it wasn't. Okay.
But listen, the second timeout. Trinchieri is calling Lukas Lekavičius the midget. What do you think about that moment? Because it was appreciated in Lithuania, not in a very good way. People were really hot about this, and it had mixed opinions.
Of course, it's offensive, but this is what you get when you're broadcasting the timeouts.
And this is a game time situation. It was probably a 4-quarter.
Yeah.
Heated moments.
Well, when you choose to broadcast uncensored timeouts and everything that the coach says goes to the TV, what do you expect? The F words are always there. All these other things that shouldn't be on television. This is another example. I'm not a big fan of it. NBA does it more sterile, where only some parts come out. They cut everything and they just give you the good stuff, where the coach is inspiring his team, where the coach is giving a motivational speech or something like that. A little glimpse at some tactical details, but just a little bit. And when you have the whole timeout on television, sometimes it's going to happen. There are a lot of emotions. We know Andrea Trinchieri. He is a passionate coach who is sometimes a little bit arrogant. So I'm not really surprised about him calling an opposing team's player a midget. I mean, maybe he apologized to Lukas Lekavičius. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if Lukas Lekavičius cares about that. But yeah, it shouldn't be on television.
Yeah, it sounds bad. It looks bad. But at the same time, you always need to understand the context, what was happening around that situation. And in general, I don't see any tragedy with that.
No, I don't care about it. I'm just saying that EuroLeague needs to think it over, whether it's valuable for them to broadcast everything. That's it. I don't have anything else to say about it.
For the last part of our podcast, we have some fan mail. Okay, we don't have any mail actually.
Yeah.
It's a question if we have a lot of fans, but we created our own fan mail. We are reacting to all the comments we had after our last podcast, and we took few of the most interesting comments. And personally, we both agreed before the podcast that Onur Adali mail comment was really interesting. I will read it. When I was working for Galatasaray, I was surprised how one fan was waiting for our team at the airport in Kaunas to get signatures from everyone in the crew, not only limited to players. I know how basketball is the first sports in Lithuania, and I had a privilege to sign for the fan even though I was just a team manager. I was feeling same when I was a hardcore Efes fan in late 90s. I'm still a fan, though desperately was waiting for Efes EuroLeague title. Just to make a short comment, that fan is really crazy. Now he's on the next level. He's taking selfies with all the players, with all the team members, even some physiotherapists and stuff like that. And the funny thing is that he's not just taking selfies with phone; he's taking selfies with camera. So it looks so funny at the same time. But this is something special about that guy, because he's coming to the arrival hall of all the airports to meet all the teams visiting Žalgiris. But to continue my comment of Onur Adali, when I was a part of 2016-17 Galatasaray men's basketball team, I had a chance to work with Coach Ataman. He has a character not everybody favors. I like him and also don't like him at the same time. He only wanted to deal with people with wealth and some title. We were sharing the same arena, Abdi Pekci, with Efes at that time for practice, and I was treated with respect by Coach Perasovic at that time. I strongly believe Ataman's approach to players have changed while he was not coaching any team before signing with Efes after the last Galatasaray season. Above all, I can say that Ataman has a character of winner who just needs to work on leadership skills. I believe that he worked on himself and his approach was much more friendly while he works for Efes. This was a crucial factor for Efes EuroLeague title. So shout out to Onur Adali.
Yeah, and
really interesting story.
It is kind of something you would imagine about Ergin Ataman and his changes in mentality, in man management in the recent years, in building success with Efes. So this comment basically proves a point which most of us were making in the past couple of years.
Yeah, Ataman was a dictator before. He had some crazy
in Italy,
punishments.
in Turkey.
whenever he went to, he was crazy, but now he's different, and maybe that was really the reason why FS finally got the title.
So another one which seemed to me quite spot on. It was by Ofir Hajaj. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. It was about Maccabi and their point guard situation. It says Nate Walters is so underrated. When he was a point guard in Maccabi, they were crushing teams by 40. Like I said in the beginning of the season, Maccabi's season depends on Keenan Evans. Maccabi's issue now is that they don't have any EuroLeague level point guard, and then the default is Scotty, who is a shoot first guard to get the ball. Then the offense looks bad. Evans and Ziv both are disappointing. Maccabi needs one of them to play EuroLeague level ball to fulfill the potential. And this is a comment which I agree to almost 100%, because Scotty Wilbekin is not a true point guard. He loves having the ball in his hands. He's a ball handler, but he's definitely a scoring guard who is taking a lot of shots off the screen. Basically, the center for Scotty Wilbekin needs to provide a good screen so he can shoot the ball. And when he's shooting good, the team is winning, but he has those off nights where the shots are not falling. And this is where you need a true point guard. And it's a good point about Nate Walters, who is really an underrated player. Maybe he is underrated because of his injuries, but we see him now playing for Zvezda, doing these good things and being a true leader. So I would agree that Maccabi, to play better, would need a floor general, a true point guard who could complement.
It's like
Scotty Wilbekin.
Shane Larkin. Scotty Wilbekin reminds me Shane Larkin a lot, and he needs that kind of point guard who would have all these Vasilija Micic qualities. True floor general, which will be much more calm on the court, who could control the team, who could run the team, and it probably would give even more space for Scotty Wilbekin to use his strengths on offensive end. And the last comment, first of all, Antonio de Jesus Castro from sending greetings from Mexico, so shout out to Antonio. And then Ed Legenda has a comment, and he says that afraid to talk about Ulanova's worst season ever? Question mark. This is so sad. I follow all podcasts, and you're the only one who do not criticize him, as he is a part of your project. But let it be a lesson for you guys for future. Secondly, look at his stats and behavior on the court, and yada yada. I mean, so we're really afraid to criticize one of our shareholders.
Well, you can criticize someone, and I must say that Ulanovas is not having a good season so far on offense. His numbers are low. But we know that Martin Schiller was kind of using him as a pick-and-roll type of player, which he's not. He's a really specific forward that needs to play back to the basket in these post-up situations. Looking at him, I think that he forgot how to play these post-ups because he didn't have the opportunities in Fenerbahce. He didn't have them in the beginning of the season in Žalgiris. Juras Dovts is trying to use him a little bit in these positions. But if you look at the last game, Dovts played Ulanovas for like 34 minutes. So he needed him on defense. He obviously is treating Ulanovas as a key player. I think there will be some games where he starts scoring and putting numbers, but he's not that type of a player. Basically, Ulanovas is a player that is so dependent on a coach.
Yeah.
If the coach is not right for him, you will see Ulanovas and think like it's a Lithuanian league player, not a EuroLeague player. But when it was with Jasikevičius, you thought, wow, he's a great small forward. Any team would love to have him. Therefore, he signed with Fenerbahce. So we'll see what happens during the season. But definitely, if I think that someone is worth some criticism, I will say it doesn't matter who he is. Ulanovas, Lekavičius, Kalnietis, or somebody else.
Yeah, we were probably we were praising only Josh Nebo in the beginning of the season. I mean, most of
maybe
all this,
Strelnieks a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. despite his defensive weaknesses and stuff like that. But what I want to say about Ulan was, he's having very inefficient numbers so far. He makes only 20% of twos and 22% of threes. He's averaging 4.4 points in 20 minutes. But as you mentioned, he played in the system where he was used as a pick and roll player. He was making threes after dribble, which he never did before. And besides all these reasons, you cannot forget that he didn't play in the EuroLeague since March. He had very uncomfortable injury, which forced him to miss the summer with the national team. And as you know, playing that season in Fener, where he also wasn't used in a system where he would feel much better, he just probably not just lost the sense of how to use his strengths, but also lost that kind of confidence in his post-up moves. And actually, despite his numbers, his numbers were also low in the last game against Bayern, but at least he had some very efficient post-up situations where he drew a double team defense, where he started, sharing the ball. He made some good passes, although his teammates didn't make their shots, but these plays were good. And for example, instead of, I don't remember how many assists he had, but he could have like 4 or 5 assists.
Potential.
If all these
the shots were made.
So, I mean, he will need time. And again, answering the comment actually, replying to the comment, he's not the worst part of Žalgiris.
And it's just too much pressure on a role player. If we talk about offense, he's a role player on offense. I know he's one of the higher paid players for Žalgiris, but that's just because he's a Lithuanian. You will always face this issue that you need to have good Lithuanian players. There are not so many of them on the market, and you have to pay them money. And when they're not playing okay, people will say, why are they paying him this? Why are they paying him that? It was always the same about Kaunas in his previous contract when he was on a big contract last year. So it is what it is.
Yeah, so pretty much it. Thanks a lot for your comments. We wait for even more comments.
And just for a minute, probably finishing the podcast, because I know you have to run. Let's just mention a few games that...
Oh, yeah, sorry. I skipped that part, actually.
Let's just mention a few games for this double game week. Let's say the ones to watch. For me personally, I'm looking forward to the second part of the double game week to see Monaco play CSKA.
Mike James.
Not a lot
the first game against CSKA.
Not a lot of be said. Mike James facing Dimitris Stoudis is going to be a good one.
It's going to be a long night for Daniel Hackett, I think. And it will go...
Maybe Kurbanov will be put on him, knowing that Stoudis loves to use his forwards to pressure the opponent's point guard, to pressure the ball. Kurbanov could be doing this job. Clyburn could be doing it.
I can imagine Mike James having 20 field goals or something like that.
I can imagine him dominating. At the same time, I can imagine him having a horrible night. So
nothing in the middle. It will go very
either
different,
one way
radical
or the
ways.
other.
Yes.
Also, I would say Fenerbahce Barcelona will be an interesting one. Fenerbahce will be playing at home, expecting to win against one of these elite teams. And I don't know. Other games seem like okay. You'll find something to watch, definitely. But these are the ones that, to me, look the most interesting.
Very important week for Fenerbahce. We already mentioned that they lost 2 games, which they could easily won. And now they're hosting Barcelona and playing against Olympiacos away. So we are talking about 2 potential losses. And you can imagine Fenerbahce starting the season 2-5. That would be a horrible start for them. And the same about Zenit. They're having Real Madrid and Baskonia, and without Shabazz Napier, it will be very difficult. And they have the same... they have 3 victories so far, but still, 3-4.
Also,
very, very important week for them. So we have 18 games.
Yeah, and also the last one, Bayern against Milan. Messina against Richieri.
It was great playoff
series. It was amazing.
Some heated moments.
Yeah, there will be a lot of emotions. Bayern finally got their first win. They're feeling better now. Lucic is back. It should be a good game. It's going to be played in Munich. So, home court. This one could be interesting as well.
A lot of basketball in front of us.
Oh, yeah. it's going to be a good week.
Rytis Vyšniauskas, Donatas Urbonas, thanks for listening. And watch all our podcasts on basketnews.com and Basket News YouTube channel.
And leave some comments, please.
And use NordVPN. NordVPN.com/URBONUS, and you will get a great deal.